We've talked before about the loss of what was a relatively new and extraordinary resource for all of humanity to the woke crowd. But there's and I'll link this in the show notes, there's a Twitter thread of all things, but that shows the references, that has the receipts on some of where the money that you might be giving to Wikipedia is going. So everyone who uses Wikipedia gets those requests at the top every now and again, or sometimes, some months it's all the time, that says, we are reader supported. I don't remember exactly what it says, but we rely on you to support us, and it's very expensive to do what we do, yada yada yada. Well, we find in this thread, and again I'll link to it, and I can't show you right now, that in a decade, Wikimedia's spending has gone from $10 million in 2010 to $112 million by 2020. That's an order of magnitude, and that's a lot. And yet, it's basically the same website, right? So what happened? Maybe it's that more people are using the site. It's Ashitas, person who is making this thread, says maybe it's more expensive to run. Well, nope. Website hosting cost only $2.4 million in 2021, which is less than it did in 2012. So that's not it. But what we find, so Wikimedia Foundation is basically the overarching. I don't know exactly what it's called, but
it's the parent organization.
It's the entity. Yeah. It's the entity that funds Wikipedia. Their own website shows that less than half of what they spend goes to directly supporting the website, and they break it down as follows: 42% direct support to websites, 14% administration and governance, 13% fundraising, 31% direct support to communities. What's that? What's direct support to communities?
Certainly sounds good.
Sounds good. I like supporting communities.
Communities
I like
ought to be supported.
Support's positive, and direct, well, you cut out the middleman. You wouldn't want the middleman. Well, Wikimedia Foundation is probably a middleman, but okay, never mind. We don't want to pay attention to that. But no, the middleman here is directly supporting the people that you would definitely want to support, because what we do know for sure is that Wikipedia is neutral. They are philosophically neutral, politically neutral. Of course, they tell us that, right? Aren't they?
Well, I will tell you that I gave a talk at Arizona State University at the launching of their new Center for American Institutions.
Yeah, say something about this. This is where you were. Yeah.
Keynoting. And is
that a verb?
I think it's isn't
keynoting.
It? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But what were we talking about?
ASU, Wikipedia.
Further.
The direct support to communities.
Direct support to communities. Damn it, I've lost it. I'll have it back in a second.
I did that to you.
Yep,
okay.
You did.
I definitely want to hear about, I want them to hear about your talk at the keynoting, at ASU. Well,
I know what it is.
Good.
In preparing for my talk, I was talking about, because this is the Center for American Institutions, I was talking about the across-the-board failure of our institutions. Mm-hmm. And one of the institutions that I used as an example was Wikipedia. Ooh. And in looking at that example, I did something that I just don't do anymore, ever, which is looked at my own Wikipedia page and found it's gotten even worse and more preposterous and more completely at odds with easily ascertained facts than it was before. Yeah. It's just a fable.
It's not just super slanted. It's actually factually wrong.
Factually incorrect, right? It's not that it misinterprets the facts. It reports things that didn't happen, right?
Yep.
And, of course, there's no real recourse. But anyway, so yes, it's looking for a nice synonym for clusterfuck, but I can't find one.
No, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
So I did, when thinking about this, I didn't actually know that you talked about that 2 days ago. But I went and I was like, okay, I'll check. I'll see what my Wikipedia entry looks like. And it's crap. It is bad. They are so bad. And you just gotta wonder, and yet.
But if you want to know what albumin is, you can look it up on Wikipedia. So you can do that sort of thing.
And presumably, that not being a politically charged topic, as apparently we are, you can get accurate information.
Sure.
So Wikipedia emphasizes a neutral point of view, but Wikimedia is openly politicized, as this thread points out, and they So, for instance, here we go. What we mean by racial equity. This is a screenshot, but this appears to be a screenshot of the Wikimedia Foundation actual Wikipedia entry. The Wikimedia Foundation defines racial equity as shifting away from Eurocentricity, white male imperialist patriarchal supremacy, superiority, power, and privilege to create an environment that is inclusive and reflects the experiences of communities of color worldwide. These modes of privilege mentioned above function as setting the dominant social, political, legal, policy-oriented, and cultural norms around the world. Okay, so they're, what did they claim to be? Oh wait, hold on. They claim to be, I've lost it, taking a neutral point of view. Doesn't sound neutral to me.
I mean, do they even hear themselves?
No.
They're trying to define a term like equity, a term that I will point out used to have, a meaning, right? They can't even define it without reference to specific groups, right? They have to define good people and bad people in order to define equity? This is insane.
Yes, they do. I'll just take one more example here from this thread, and again, I'll link to it. The person writing the thread said, okay, well, let's see what some of this direct community support looks like. And many millions, tens of millions go to, in the form of grants that the Wikimedia Foundation makes from the money that you donate to Wikipedia and turns it into grants that it's calling direct community support. Well, the Search Foundation received $250,000 donor cash. The Search Foundation stands for STEM en route to change. The grant was given to provide, quote, a 2-year investment to the Search Foundation to support the expansion of their signature program, Vanguard STEM, which amplifies the voices of Black, Indigenous, women of color, and non-binary people of color in STEM fields. The Search Foundation will leverage cultural production, including multimedia storytelling, to advance non-traditional forms of knowledge creation, to build freely licensed and open rich media content about STEM leaders of color, and address inequitable representation throughout scientific fields. Okay, fabulous. However, on closer inspection, it turns out to be even more unusual. They are proponents of the intersectional scientific method.
The intersection, I think we took science too early to have learned the intersectional method. Is it very good?
I've got an abstract from them.
All right.
In describing how Vanguard STEM descended from counterspaces, we draw on speculative fiction to define a Vanguard STEM hyperspace as a fluid place-time that is born digital and enabled by social media, but materializes in the physical world for specific purposes. As Black women in STEM, we consider how our situated knowledges and scientific expertise inform our process. There's been one new video on their site in the last year. They discuss issues in science like objectivity, which they're against. Here's just a couple of screenshots from this video with some text from it. So we always want to talk about an unbiased approach, but is that really what we want, they ask? Objectivity, they say, is sort of a conquering gaze from nowhere. That's a direct quote, but that sounds real colonialist to me. This is the supposed STEM initiative that got $250,000 from the Wikimedia Foundation, and it's hardly the only one.
So
there we
do
go.
you understand this to be where a large fraction of them, when they beg you on Wikipedia and they say, please donate so that we can keep doing our important work, and you think they're saying that this is necessary to keep Wikipedia functional, that they're in fact delivering it to these political causes? Is that what's going on?
Like I said, and I have not gone deeper than what I find, and clicking through some of the links and such in this thread. But what the Wikimedia Foundation's website itself suggests is that of the money that they receive, they have 42% going to direct support to the websites they say, which I guess means Wikipedia and the Wikimedia Foundation websites. I'm not sure exactly if there's additional sites. 14% to administration and governance, 13% to fundraising, and 31% direct support to communities. And included in that direct support to communities, and maybe making up the vast majority of that direct support to communities, is the grants that are going to organizations like this, whatever the hell that was called.
So they are pretending to be objective as they are misreporting the facts on Wikipedia and politicizing the world out the back door.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yep. So that's science, art, once public access, publicly written encyclopedia, which that was new. Like, we've had science and art for ages. We did not have a publicly available, widely, like, just incredible encyclopedia for the masses until, I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, right? Wikipedia is since the turn of the last millennium for sure, and it's dead now.
Yep.
I mean, it still exists for things that really can't possibly have any political component, but you cannot use it in the way that you could use it before, and you certainly can't donate to it.
Well, what you
and
can't...
hope that it will go to help, unpoliticize anything, because it's actually behind the scenes making the culture wars worse.
What you can't do is trust it, right? At best, what you can do is trust your own assessment of what topic might be so far from anything in which there is a cultural battleground that it might actually report the facts uninflected, right? Yeah. But how good are you at knowing where the bodies are buried, right?
Yeah. If you're going there, presumably you're at least somewhat ignorant of the thing for which you're going.
Right. So the idea, I mean, and, as I pointed out at ASU, the worst part about having Wikipedia and Wikimedia so thoroughly politicized is that they take up all the oxygen in the room. That we desperately need an encyclopedia available to everyone that is dedicated to reporting the facts of every discipline as best as we understand them. And this prevents us from generating it because we have something that looks like that and used to aspire to be that and is now just taken over by insanity.
Yeah, no, and to harken back to last week's show, exactly as fact-checking festivals are springing up by these new fact-checking organizations, which itself wasn't a thing, right, until fairly recently. Exactly at that moment, we have the denigration and effective disappearance of Wikipedia, such that the ability of the average person to actually assess what is and is not true has become much more difficult, if not impossible, in some regards.
Yeah, it's couldn't be a bigger tragedy, and really goes to the larger point that you need a special explanation for the failure of every institution simultaneously, right? That's not the result of just, mediocrity.
Yeah.
It's the result of something else.